Hey, you found Ears, Everyday Artists, Real Songs. Today on the show, a killer performance of a song about embracing change. It's Secrets by Macyn Opella, performed live at the Hoot in Saranac Lake, New York. Let's take a listen to the song and meet back here for a chat with Macyn.
I left a part in a blue mountain Eden, on the roadside with blue pines, and where she grows she will be so, but the world will turn them hard. The heart I once knew. Oh, the trees know my name, but they'll never tell who's to blame. Secrets I keep are who I must be, but only time will tell. Sight of who I am when the winter winds blow, and I lie still in transformation, and I cry to the mountains for the soul I seek, and where she grows she will survive, and their heart will take them far. And the waves in the sand slipping like time through my hands, I'm giving up the heart I once knew. Oh, the trees know my name, but they'll never tell who's to blame. Secrets I keep are who I must be, but only time will tell. Oh, only time will tell. Oh, and the waves in the sand slipping like time through my hands, I'm giving up the heart I once knew. Oh, the trees know my name, they'll never tell who's to blame. Secrets I keep, who I must be, but only time will tell. Only time will tell. Thank you very much. Thank you, Charlie.
Macyn Opella, thank you so much for doing this with me. I really, really appreciate it.
Well, thank you so much for inviting me. I'm so super excited about this.
Before we get into the song, can you talk a little bit about this performance and the venue and the Hoot in general?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll do my best to do it justice. So the Hoot is a weekly open mic in Saranac Lake at a venue called the Garage Rave. It's a very cool venue, and what Charlie and Two Line Studios has done there is really created an awesome community. And there's a really great musical community everywhere in Saranac Lake, but the Hootenanny specifically, I have found has been a really great community of people, and everyone's so supportive of each other, and everyone's just so talented. Sometimes I invite my friends. Sometimes you hear open mic and you're not sure what you're going to get, but everyone there is so talented all the time, and it's really great.
It is great. It's a really special room. And
Mhm.
it's a really special listening community too. Everybody's
Yes, yeah.
really listening hard, and
Hmm.
it's really special. And then, you know, what Charlie does with the recordings, giving everybody an opportunity to continue to get better, to actually hear themselves and see themselves. I try not to go when he's recording, but I also like it's so educational, you know, and
Yes.
that is part of why he does it. He's wanting everybody to have that experience, to see what it feels like to be on a real stage with real lights
Hmm.
in your face, and to have real quality recordings of your work so you can see what it actually is, and so you can share it if you want.
Absolutely. I'm with you. I don't often like to listen back to my recordings, but it is such a valuable thing to have, and I do really appreciate that Charlie does it.
Okay, so let's get into secrets. I want to start with the nature imagery. I feel the Adirondacks in the song, and I'm wondering what role nature plays in your writing.
I have always had a very heavy nature influence in my songwriting. Nature has just always been what inspires me. It's always what I've been drawn to. And so there definitely is a lot of nature imagery in the vast majority of my songs. And even some I've noticed like seasonal shifting is I tend to write sadder songs in the winter and happier songs in the summer. I even touch on that in Secrets. There's some like comments on seasonal changes.
Well, I suppose that's not too surprising when you live in a place where seasonal changes are so dramatic and the life that you live in the winter is so completely different than the life you live in the summer.
Yeah, exactly.
But getting into Secrets, on stage you describe the song as being about changes that are so scary that you don't talk about them to anyone, not even yourself, which, you know, can be an intense sort of secret or change. Is that the kind of thing that compels you to write?
Songwriting for me is a therapeutic thing for sure. I do use it to process things and to express what I'm feeling and going through. I think that's what music is. That's what it's about. Secrets, though, is definitely one of the most vulnerable songs that I have written. I don't often go that deep with my songs. Secrets was one of those songs that came out because it needed to be written.
Do you find it hard to be that vulnerable on stage?
It was scary. It was scary the first time I played it. I think the first time I played it was at the park in Long Lake. It's a little burger joint, but I played there a lot. They do open mics. I think that was a good place to play it for the first time because it was a familiar place. I was surrounded by people who I knew and who loved me. And so that made it a little less scary playing it out for the first time. But I can't really help the emotion escaping with that song when I play it.
Yeah, I think that's probably what drew me to this song. I haven't seen you perform that much, but I feel like you're someone who's never really phoning it in when you're on stage.
I think that's what compels me to perform is, I write things to process them and, work through those things like I was saying. But I perform because I want to share those things with people because you never know who in the crowd is going to need to hear those words or is going to resonate with it. And that's what I think it's all about. And that's what's gotten me on stage, even the times where I'm really nervous about it or it's a daunting thing. But I just think about how music is meant to be shared and that I want other people to hear it as much as I want to hear other people's music.
Yeah, have you always felt like that about your songs?
It's hard to say. Started songwriting when I was probably like 11 or 12 years old.
Oh,
So it's
wow.
hard to remember way back then. I feel like back then it was more of a private thing for me. Like it was just me writing songs and singing them in my bedroom. I didn't even play guitar or anything at that point. It was just me singing. But once I did start getting serious about it, I did start playing guitar and performing became something that was, attainable. Then I think I did start feeling that way that I wanted to share them.
So how old were you when you played like a first gig or for other people, like around a campfire or what have you?
That's a little blurry again because my main instrument is actually violin that I started performing with the school's orchestra when I was 8 or 9. I had performed before. It was just there's way more of a vulnerability getting up there and first of all singing, which was something that I don't have any formal training in, and singing songs that I had written versus violin. You're playing something that you learned from someone else. I had definitely been eased into performing.
So you basically learned to play guitar to accompany songs that you were writing.
Yeah, maybe when I was around 13, I started strumming chords on my violin. My parents were like, okay, that's not going to work. So they ended up getting me for my 13th birthday a mandolin, which has the same strings as a violin. You play the same notes, but you play it like a guitar. And I was also very much in the folk world of violin. I played Irish fiddle music. So mandolin was a pretty natural progression for that to take. And then I started playing chords and accompanying my singing on mandolin. And then eventually to guitar when I was about 15 or 16.
And then you're officially a singer-songwriter with a guitar.
Yeah, exactly.
So coming back to Secrets, tell me how this one started.
I've heard a lot of songwriters say recently that sometimes you agonize over a song for weeks and it's like it's getting there, but you have to keep walking away from it and coming back to really get it where you want it. And some of those songs just come immediately and naturally because I think it's those songs that just really need to come out. And Secrets was definitely one of those songs. Those kinds of songs for me, the ones that just come out really naturally, usually start with with a chord and a vibe. That's about it. So I'll fiddle around on the guitar for a little bit, getting a sound, a tempo, and a key and chord progression that I like, and then I'll usually start humming and get a melody going in there. So the lyrics usually come in last, but in a song like Secrets, that did happen very quickly. That's all a fast progression of things in those cases. So I think I usually do start with the beginning of the song. Sometimes I do start with the chorus, but it usually is the very beginning of the song.
How do you know when you're done?
Yeah, I think just vibes again. I think Secrets, if I really wanted to, I could have added a third verse to it, but I think I knew it was done because I felt like I said everything that I needed to say. The two choruses at the end just had the nice buildup that I wanted the song to end on.
When you wrote Secrets, was it something you were working through at the time or was it a memory?
It was a lot of things, but I think the main idea behind the song is that, I'm 25 and I feel like I've had so many times in my life already. And I realize now that this is just going to keep happening forever, where you're like, yeah, this is it. I get it now. I understand myself and life, and but we never do. We never do have all the answers about the world and about ourselves. And actually a while after writing this song, I had the realization that, you could be 40 years old and not even be halfway done discovering yourself. And I was like, wow, that's so cool. Like, I'm going to be learning new things about myself for the rest of my life. And I think there's such a push in society to like figure things out in your late teens, early 20s. Like that's when you need to be figuring yourself out. And that's when, like all the coming of age stories, it's like that's so ingrained. And I think it's a really beautiful thing that we are always constantly changing and learning.
Agreed. I'm not sure how I'm 60 and just learning that, but it is so very, very, very true. And that's kind of the genesis of this whole podcast project. I came pretty late to music and songwriting as a hobby, like really only the past decade or so. And it's like you said, it always seemed like if you didn't have the music in you when you were young or any kind of creative endeavor, like if you hadn't figured it out in your 20s, you should just forget about it. And that is such a misinterpretation of how to get the most out of your remaining many decades. There are infinite ways to continue to grow and learn, and infinite ways to have a creative practice in your life.
I think what I would tell people about creativity and songwriting, but creativity in general. I used to work at a place that had an art studio where it was geared towards kids, but adults could also come in, and I'd see the adults all the time either come in with their kids or they'd just be passing by and they'd poke their head in to check it out, and I'd say, hey, you want to come and sit down and make some art? And for kids it comes so naturally, and they'd be like, yeah, I want to make some art. And the adults were always so reluctant about it, and I'd get so many people saying, no, I'm not good at art, I wouldn't be good at it, why would I want to do that? And I would just try to encourage people that art is just something that is so innate to us as human beings, and we are so conditioned to not want to do it because we think we're not good at it, when you're only going to become good at it if you do it, and also just for the joy of creation. And I think everyone could use a little more creativity in their lives, so I would really encourage people to just do it badly, do it messy, do it
I agree about 1,000,000%.
yeah.
Macyn, thank you again so much for doing this with me.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate you. This is so much fun.
Macyn Opella, everybody. Catch her live in the Saranac Lake, New York area. Thanks again also to Charlie Reinerston and Two Line Studios for providing the recording of Secrets. This has been Ears. Thanks for listening.
Time flows by and I am changing. Thought I had all the pieces. How foolish I was. I left a party in a Blue Mountain Eden, on the roadside with the lupines. And where she grows, she will be so. But the world will turn them hard, and the waves in the sand slipping like time through my hands. I'm giving up the heart I once knew. Oh, the trees know my name, but they'll never tell who's to blame. Secrets I keep are who I must be, but only time will tell. I ebb and flow with the seasons. I lose sight of who I am when the winter winds blow, and I lie still in transformation, and I cry to the mountains for the solace I seek. And where she grows, she will survive, and their heart will take them far. And the waves in the sand slipping like time through my hands. I'm giving up the heart I once knew. Oh, the trees know my name, but they'll never tell who's to blame. Secrets I keep are who I must be, Only time will tell. Oh, only time will tell. Oh, and the waves in the sand slipping like time through my hands. I'm giving up. Heart I once knew. Oh, the trees know my name. They'll never tell who's to blame. Secrets I keep, who I must be, but only time will tell. Only time will tell. Thank you very much. Thank you, Charlie.